Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, I have discussed about that error handling part. So as I told you friend, that is the main structure of the Express. So if you understand it, rest of this will be very easy, because here that is the pretty much everything I have already discussed about every line by line with you. I hope you understand every part very clearly. Just you have to now practice it friend. Without practice, that will be a little bit complicated. Okay, if you practice it with me, then I believe everything will be very clear to you. Okay, so now in this video I want to discuss about our routing. So rest of this will be very easy. We have to create that route, we have to create some of the controller, and we have to create that functionality. Okay, so for this project, if you go to your exercise file, I have already shared one of the folder as a chat project. Into the chat project, that is our theme file. Okay, so into this theme file, there is a one of the page. One of that will be as inbox.html, index.html, user.html. So that is all that is static HTML file. Here I have already created that design. I will not discuss about that, how to create that all that file, because that is very easy, all that process. I have already created one of the design for this. That will be our index page. Okay, so that index page here, it will be loaded on the logging form. And also I have created another one. That means when this user will be successfully logging, then that will be this type of one of the user interface. From here you can search some of the user. So that will be all that user will be loaded in here. Real-time communication will be executed from this position, and also from here you can upload some of the images, you can delete it. Okay, so that will be our another page. And also there is another page as a user page. So user page will be for admin. For admin, when it will be logging, and we will be able to add some of the new user in here. So that is a simple 3 of this page. So now our page will be as a logging inbox, that is our users. So now I want to do simply go to our routing. So our routing will be very easy. So I make it as an app. As I told you, friend, rest of will be very easy. So now I just simply use that as an app use, and into this app use, our first URL. Okay, first URL will be as a slash. That means our home URL, right? So into this home URL area, I want to load one of the route. So for now, I want to name it as a logging. Okay, logging router. Okay, so router. So I make it as a one name as a logging router. And also I want to create another one that will be the app use. That will be another one that will be for the user. So I make it as users. Okay, so that will be the users. And for the users, I also want to add another function. So I name it as users router. Okay, users router, and then the app. Okay, app, and then .use. And then I want to add another one. So that will be for the inbox, right? That is the users, and that is the inbox. Okay, so now I want to rename it. Our route URL will be as inbox. So inbox. So for the inbox, I want to also use that another function name that will be the inbox. Okay, inbox routers. Okay, so I simply loaded 3 of this in here. So now I want to create all that file. That means in our project. Okay, into this project I want to create one of the new folder, and I just name it as a router. Okay, I name it as a router. So into this router area, I want to create on the new file. Okay, I want to create on the new file. I just name it as a logging router. So here I want to create on the new file. I just name it as a logging router.js. I simply created this file. Simply understand how all functionality works. So that is our home route. I created one of the logging router. So that means in our router, I have created that logging router. So into this logging router, our first job we have to load our express module. So that will be the constant, and with this constant, that will be the same express, right? So I name it as express, and that will be required. So that will be required our express. So I simply loaded this express. So that is our external inputs. I simply loaded it, and then I want to load that our route. So that will be the constant, and then that will be as a router. Okay, router, constant router, and here with this express, I want to load that a router. Okay, you can see that is I simply loaded this router. Great. And now I want to for the first time, that will be our logging page, right? So that will be the logging page, and for the logging page I want to do our route. So that with this router, so that will be the router. So with this router, now I want to get our URL. Our URL will be as a home URL, and for the home area here I want to load one of the controller method. So here also we have to now create one of the controller, and then we have to create some of the function into this controller. Okay, so I name one of the controller name like as a logging. Okay, logging controller. So this step one of the controller now I want to create, and also after that I want to do an export. So if you want to export it, then that will be the module, right? So that is module and then the export. And now from here I want to do and to export our which things. I want to export this router. Okay, I simply export it. Great. So now we have to create this controller. Better I want to do here I want to create one of the new folder as a controller. Okay, controllers. So here I simply create one of the new folder as a controller, and into this controller folder now I want to create one of the file, and that will be as a logging controller, right? I simply copy it, and now into this controller area I want to create another new file. I name it as a logging controller.js. Okay, so now I simply created it. So that is the two things will be needed. So right now we don't need this, also we don't need this. So into this app, that is our logging router, I have created one of the logging router. Here I loaded one of the controller, so that is our controller. So that is a all that file. So now from to this position I pass our export router. So now we have to take it in our app. Okay, into this app area. So that is our internal input. So here I want to do and to take here I want to take that as a constant. So that is a constant. Okay, constant, and I want to do and to name it as a logging and then router, logging router. And into this logging router area here, that will be the require our file location. Here we have to allocate our file location, so that is in our which place, that is into the router, right? So here we have to go to that router, and into this router area now our file name as a logging router. So I simply loaded this logging router. So here I name it as a logging router. So that is the logging router I have already loaded in our route area. Okay, so great. So now if you go to our logging router, I have already created one of the logging controller. So now into this controller area, I want to do and to declare one of the function, right? Because all that functions we have to declare it into the controller area. Controller will be manage it. So now that is our functions, and name one of the function name as a get logging. Okay, get logging, this type of one of the function, and here that will be passed three of this parameter. One will be as a request, another will be as a response, another will be as a next, right? So I simply pass everything, and now I want to pass that as a response. Our response will be I want to load one of the HTML data. So if you want to pass that HTML data, we have to pass it with the render, right? So that is a render. So into this render area, I want to load our which view page. Here we have to allocate that view page. So I want to load that view page for the logging. Logging here, I want to load our index, right? So here our logging page as the index.html. So I want to load this index view file. Okay, so if you want to load it, so I want to name it as index. Okay, friend, and also here if you want to pass that your title, you can also pass it in here. So as I told you before, with this object I want to pass one of the property as a title, and our title, if you want to pass whatever the name actually you choose, like I name it as a logging. So that will be as a logging chat application. Okay, that is a logging chat application. So that will be our title. That means this page title will be updated. Okay, so from here I simply pass it. Now we have to export it. So now that will be as a module. Okay, module and module exports area. I want to pass it. I want to pass our which method. So that will be the get logging. So I simply pass that get logging in here. Okay, friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So now that is our controller, right? So into this controller, I have created one of the function name as a get logging, and also I export it. Now we have to input it, right? Into the logging route. Into the logging route here, you can see I have already declared this logging controller. So now we have to input it, because from to this position, I pass that as a get logging, and now I want to input it. So that will be one of the internal our link, right? So better I make it as some of the note for you, that is internal. Okay, internal imports. Okay, internal imports, and with the internal imports, that will be the same as a constant, and constant I name it I export it with the get logging. I hope friend you understand it. It's very easy, as I told you. Right now everything will be very easy, so I simply take it. And now also we have to load this file. That means we have to load our which file, we have to load our controller file. So right now that is in our which place, we have to go outside from to this folder. Okay, go outside from to this folder, and then that will be our controller, and into this controller, that is our logging controller. I simply loaded this logging controller. So now here I name it, I get that our controller, because here I have created this method, I export it, now I import it with this name as a get logging. That means right now that will be as a get logging. Okay, I simply loaded these things in here. So here we successfully done it, and also in our method, that means if you go to our app, so right now that is our one. So right now first of all I have to check it. Right now I make it as a comment out, and now if you go to our here, that is a loaded our which things, that is loaded that router, right? You can see that is a loaded that router, and into this router there is a logging router. Here I loaded that method, and that is our method. Into this method I loaded on the render index base, right? So now that is our view file. If you now go to our template, I want to update our templates. Into this template area there is some of the images, JS and style sheet. Okay, so everything I want to copy it. I copy it. Now go to our project. So that is our chat application. Into this chat application in our public folder, here I want to paste all that our file. Okay, I simply paste it. Great. And also that is another file, that is our inbox HTML and then user. So that is all that our view file. I copy it and now go to our project, and now that is also our views file. Okay, here I want to paste it. So now we have to change that extension, that will be as EasyX, right? So I want to do, if you go to that view, here I want to change it. I change that rename as a EJS. Okay, EJS. I rename it, and also there is another one, I rename it as EJS, and also there is another one, I change it, our extension will be EJS. Okay, I simply load it. Now that should be loaded out which one. Okay, when that will be our home, now everything will be very clear. When that will be our home, then it should be executed our route, and into this route I loaded that our controller. Into this controller I loaded the render index file. That means this index file will be executed. If you want to check it, now click as a save all. First of all, I want to check our server if there have any error or not. Yes, you can see they have no error, it's perfectly running. Now that should be loaded our index page in our page. Now if you click as a refresh, you can see right now it's successfully loaded only our which page. Now it's loaded our index page, right? Because here I have already loaded our which page. So that is the pretty much basic things. I hope friend you understand it. So that is a use home directory. I loaded that logging route, right? So into this logging route, I have loaded that our router. Into this router area, I declare one of the controller. So into this controller, I created that method. It's now loaded our index. So now that is our view. Our view index is now loaded. You can see it's now loaded in here. Great. So better want to continue this process. In our next video, I will run our both of this. That will be the same procedure. We have to just copy and paste it for the users page and also for the inbox page. Right now I didn't create any users. So if you make it as a /users, now click the enter. Now you can see it's now display as a no found, because I have already complete our error handling part. Great. In our next video, I also want to do for the users, I will load our another component. That means another page, that will be our user page, and that will be our inbox page. Okay, how can load it? In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. So for now, only one page is loaded as a logging page. Great. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.